Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dale Hutchison, a certified addictions counselor, level 2, retired for some time now. And Leslie is a little bit behind right now. She'll be here with us in a few minutes, I hope. Anyway, she'll be here. And I'm just going to get started so we get started on time. Today's going to be an open discussion because we have no guest this today in this show. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Today I want to talk about trauma. I want to talk about healing trauma more than just trauma itself. We know what trauma is. Trauma is a catastrophic event that happens to you. And by catastrophic, I mean in your point of view. What may be catastrophic to you may not be to me, but it is to you, and therefore you have trauma. And that's legitimate. It's just the way it is. You have trauma. No one can take that away from you, no matter what the event is. It can be a victim of a crime, be a witness to a violent crime. It can be a witness to an automobile accident, be an automobile accident. It can be sexual abuse, it can be physical abuse, it can be mental abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse, all kinds of abuse going on out there, ladies and gentlemen. And it can be any one of those that gives you your trauma. You're a combat veteran, or not even. You don't even have to be a combat veteran to have trauma in your life from military service. You could have it just by being in the military, which is a whole different world. I know I was in the military, so I know it's different. So you can have trauma from just being in the military, let alone having to face combat or situations that are dangerous. And rescue situations you can be traumatized by being involved in a rescue mission as a rescuee, not the rescuer and not the rescuee. If you're the rescuee, you definitely got trauma. There's no way out of it. And trauma is lifelong. You can deal with it. You can heal it. You can put it into a spot, cage it off some part of your mind, and you don't think about it unless it comes up, which it does with mine, where mine is. And I have trauma. Like I said, I was in the military. I saw combat. But I was in the military, I saw combat, so I have trauma. I was born and raised in a very abusive family, so I have trauma from that. So I got trauma, but I don't think about it unless I'm talking about it or somebody mentions it to me, because I have dealt with it. I have healed from it, because you can heal from it. And you don't need to pay a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist $400 an hour to do it. You can do it yourself if you want to. You've got to want to do it yourself, and you have to work at it. It's not easy. Not easy at all. Excuse me a second. I get caught in mouth real bad and I need some drinks. I usually do that when Leslie's here, but she'll be here in a little bit. And she'll put her 2 cents worth in. In the meantime, I get my chance. I put an ad up for survivors to be on the show. And I invite any member of our audience out there now, if there are any, and there probably is a few. If you are a trauma survivor of any kind and wish to be on the show now, text me or send me a comment, and I will see it and get you on the show immediately. And that way you can start your process of healing. Again, without having to pay a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist $400 or $500 an hour, because they don't work cheap. They work and they do a fantastic job. I have some of the best psychotherapists in the world working with me. And they are excellent people, and they do wonderful work, and they deserve their $400 an hour. They put a lot of time and effort into their schooling and training to become a psychotherapist. So I'm not begrudging them their money, their time, their effort, their work. I'm not condemning them. I said I've had the help of many therapists over the years, psychotherapists and others, the counselors who've done excellent work for me. So I'm not condemning them. They do great work. But if you are not super rich, it's hard to do. And it's hard to find somebody that can work with you, although most of them nowadays do offer sliding scale fees based on your income, which they offer on the radio. I could get one myself. But I've had some excellent, and they work. It works very well. It takes a long time to heal and to work through your traumatic event. It's not something that's over and done in one show. You'll have to continue to work on it over time. And you're more than welcome to come back on the show if you wish. If you're here on the show once, you're welcome to come back again twice or 3 times or 4, or whatever it takes for you. We're here for you. We want you to heal. So if you want to send me a note, please do, and I will get you on the show immediately. I'll send you the link to get you on the show, and all you have to do is click on the link on your computer, or laptop, or phone, and bing, you're there. Make sure you have Chrome, though, because Chrome's not the only one that really works here. So make sure you have Chrome. Meantime, I'm going to read you this ad that I put up on LinkedIn. No, I missed LinkedIn. I'm going to put it on this afternoon on LinkedIn. Twitter. Oh my God, there goes my brain again. That's the trouble with getting old. Your brain sometimes first thing that goes. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Alignable, which is a group that I belong to here. Well, it's nationwide, so it's not just here. So you have the opportunity to read it yourself on any one of those platforms. I will put it on LinkedIn, like I say, right after the show's over. It'll take about 2 minutes because I got to do is copy and paste. Anyway, I'm going to read it to you. I don't have it memorized. I'm sorry. But my memory quit working many decades ago. So, Trauma to Love. We are looking for trauma survivors. Reverend Leslie Peters, RN, and Dale Hutchinson, CAC2, retired, to appear on the show Trauma to Love. If you are a survivor, write us at T2L. That's the letter T, the number 2, and the letter L, as in love, at coffee-time-again.com. It's a long one, I know, but unfortunately, that's what we're going to work with right now. And we will answer within 24 hours. Once we get the email, we'll have it answered within 24 hours. The show is live streamed Mondays at noon Pacific Standard Time. And that's going to change next week to Pacific Time, Pacific Daylight Time. We can make special arrangements if needed to meet your needs. Like I say, we are here to meet your needs. So if we need to make a special time for you, we will do it. No problem for us. We're both retired, so we got plenty of time. Well, I don't. I have another podcast I have to do, but we'll find you a spot that was convenient for you, not for us. So we'll make it convenient for you. You will not be pressured to share anything you don't want to talk about. So if there's something in your history and your trauma that you don't wish to talk about, leave it that way. We won't talk about it if you don't want us to. There's no sense in opening a can of worms that you're not ready to deal with. At some point, you may be or you may never be, and that's okay. That's okay. You have your choice of which method you wish to talk to. Reverend Leslie Peters, RN, of Metaphysical Type Therapy, which is excellent. She does excellent love work. It's fantastic. I've been a recipient of working with her for about a year now. I'll tell you how we met as soon as we get this done. But it's very good. It's excellent therapy. Or mine of the traditional method of talk and experiential type therapy work in healing your trauma. And learning to love yourself again, allowing you to love others at a deeper level. That's my ad. Now, as for how I met Leslie, we met through a program called Podmatch, and she wanted to be on my other show. So I said, sure, why not? And she was so extraordinary, I invited her back for her second show. She is extraordinarily good. I wish she was here now. She needs to get here. And anyway, I'm begrudging her time. I don't know what's going on. She just got back from vacation and she was a little behind. I had to send her a note earlier. I sent her one. Anyway, so I invited her back a second time, and we got to talking after the show. One after the second show, we got to talking, and she said something about a podcast. I said, "Well, we can start a podcast. That's no problem. Together, you with your background and my background, we're both survivors of severe trauma. I'll let her tell you about hers. I can talk about mine, but hers is different, of course. So I'll let her tell her story, and I will tell mine, which is I am a child of abuse, very severe abuse. My parents started feeding me alcohol at about 2 or 3 because they thought a drunk toddler was funny. So I didn't have much of a choice. I became an alcoholic because I drank from then on. And it's about 7 years old, 1957. That was an interesting summer. A lot of things happened. But I smoked my first cigarette. I had my first, if you want to call it that, intercourse, if you want to call it that, sexual experience. And I had my first drink by myself. I took my first drink myself sometime in the summer of 57, which tells you somewhat how old I am. I'm old. And anyway, I started there, and parents were abusive financially, spiritually, physically, mentally. You name it, it was abused in my family. Sexually, we were all abused, all 4 of us children. So that's the type of family I was born and raised in. So that gave me my trauma. Then becoming an alcoholic increased my traumatic events. You know, you don't think about this when you're drunk, and you don't think about it till later on. But every time they stopped me for a DUI, that was a traumatic event because it threw me in jail. That's trauma in itself. That slamming cell noise is the loneliest sound in the world, let me tell you. I know. I've heard it 4 times. So that's traumatic. So sobering up itself was traumatic. Trying to face life on life's terms, as they say in AA. It's rough, very rough in the beginning. It took time for me to learn to live life sober. I'd had no conception of what living life sober was about. I never was sober when I was drinking. So I had to learn how to live life differently, the way life really is. So that's traumatic itself. Then I went, before I sobered up, though, this is back when I was a teenager, I was 19, when I went into the Army and was sent to a country where there was, wasn't combat or fighting going on in the country itself, but the neighboring country, we had to keep going across borders and bringing out defectors. And we would meet up at the opposition military. Excuse me. I'm sorry. The opposition military. And have to fight our way out. And that's where my combat duty came from. I won't name the country because I don't know if that's still going on or not, but it was highly illegal, irregular, and immoral for us to be doing that. But orders are orders. And you hear that so many times from the soldiers that I was just following orders. Doesn't make it right. Does not make it right. However, as a 19-year-old punk, I had no idea what I was doing. And just following orders. What a lame excuse that is, but it's all I got. I don't have any more other than that. Later on, I got married. That was traumatic. I had children. That was traumatic. Got a divorce. That was traumatic. Lost many jobs, which got to be non-traumatic. It just got to be an everyday occurrence. Oh, well, lost another job. Go find another one. And being a cook, it wasn't hard to do. At the time, I worked in restaurants, and it was not a hard thing to do. Then one day in June of 1989, June 24th, it was, I started drinking my usual powders. Ended up in a place called Carbondale, Colorado, which is about 10 miles from where I live, walking. How I got there, I have no clue. And started, well, actually, I was at work. That's how I got there. I was at work. I sobered up. Yeah, I was sober enough to go to work. Anyway, got out, worked all day, drank all day at work, just sip, enough to keep me healthy enough to work because my BAC got too low. I got really sick. Then I left work and went to bars in town in Coverdale and drank all the way through town, into town to a bar called The Other Place. That's the last thing I remember. Until several hours later when I woke up, came out of my blackout in detox. Long enough to realize I was in detox and given some, that I didn't want any information given out and all that, all the stuff you have to answer. And I answered all the silly questions. And they finally got me to bed about 6 o'clock in the morning of June 25th, which I'd gone into detox. I'd been in my last bar at 1:45 a.m. I know that because I know my pattern, not because I remember it, but because I know my pattern. And that was my pattern to have my last drink at the Lariat. I had, I think, 4 doubles. That's my, again, would be my normal pattern to have 4 doubles at last call. Then finally got me to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I went out like a light bulb. I mean, I just passed out. When you're drunk, you go to sleep. You don't sleep. You pass out. And it was noon Monday when they were taking somebody was taking my blood pressure. I knew who it was when I woke up, but her name was Judy. And when I woke up, I looked up at her and said, Judy, that's it. I'm done. I've not had a drink or a drug since. June 25th, 1989. It's been 34 years now since I've had a drink or a drug. And it was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. It was hard, don't get me wrong, it was difficult, but not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. And the reason is, I think that, and I don't know this for a fact because I was unconscious, but I believe God reached down with a 2x4 and hit me alongside the head and said, boy, that's it. You're done. Because when I woke up, I was done. And I knew it. I knew that I'd never take another drink again. Smoking should have been so easy, which it wasn't. So I was a smoker, so obviously from that comment. I spent 16 days in detox. Then I went to a treatment center for 14 days and went to a halfway house for, I think, 50 days. Went to a second halfway house where I spent almost a year and a half. As not only a year as a cook, because I stayed on and became a cook at their establishment when I lost my job at Village Inn in Denver. That's where I was living at that time. And I spent the next 20 years living in Denver. I became a counselor working in Denver. Spent 10 years here in Denver as 15 years as a counselor here in Denver. I had my first heart attack. I didn't really scare me too bad, but it was a traumatic event. In 2003, 2006, I had my second heart attack. That scared me, and it was a bad one. And the doctor suggested I stop working in my field, which was drug and alcohol counselor, because I've been one since 1991 is when I became a counselor. 2 years after I sobered up, which was a mistake. I should have had more time under my belt and sobriety before I got into the field. But I didn't. I was dumb, young and dumb still. So I spent 15 years in Colorado as a drug and alcohol counselor. And the doctor suggested I get out of the altitude, get out of the weather, get out of the stress of my job, because I was doing a lot of work those days. Awful lot of groups and individuals and sobriety maintenance programs. And it was rough. It was hard on me. Really, that's the reason I had that. That's not the reason I had the heart attack. I had the heart attack because I was drunk and smoking. Although I was sober at the time, it still got to me. I have several diseases because of my alcoholism. One of them being diabetes, and the other one being cardiomyopathy and congestive heart failure, which led to my heart attack. So I had my second heart attack in 2006, or 2005, August. They put a defibrillator in my chest and sent me away from Colorado. Said, get out of the state. So I have family and friends living in California, so I went to California for 13 years, the most miserable 13 years of my life, living in California, except I was sober, had a job working as a counselor. I took about 3 years off, and then I say a sabbatical of 3 years. And I went back to work, so I got a total of 24 years in the field. I finally retired in 2015, September of 2015. And I've worked since at a couple of odd jobs here and there that I really shouldn't have been doing for my condition. But I did them. That's my trauma. There was one other incident that I'm not going to talk about because I never do, but it is even worse, caused even more trauma to me than a lot of the other events in my life that I just told you about. Is the one incident that I will not talk about on the air. I'll talk about it privately and personally once I get to know you very well, but I won't talk about it before that. Just won't do it. That's my story and how I became a counselor, why I became a counselor, got out of the restaurant business because you can't be sober and work in the restaurant business. Even at the level I was at, which was head chef at that time, various restaurants around Glenwood Springs, and just plain cook here in Denver, except at the treatment center I was in called Sobriety House. I was their head chef for about a year. Other than that, that's me. And that's my trauma. And how did I heal from that trauma? A whole lot of therapy. Starting in 94, I believe it was, 95. Anyway, I was 5 years sober when I quit 12-step programs and went into therapy because I wasn't progressing in 12-step programs. Don't get me wrong, 12-step programs kept me sober that first 5 years. Without them, I don't think I'd have made it. I'm a big supporter of 12-step programs, especially in the early years. But mine was so much mental, I needed the therapy. So I went into therapy and I've continued with therapy all these years. I'm still in therapy. I just had a session Friday with my therapist because I see him about once every 3 weeks. So I don't need much, but I still need that therapy. So I hang on to it and keep it going. That's how I did it. A whole lot of it was harder to deal with the trauma than the alcoholism because the trauma was deep-seated. It was repressed. A lot of it had been repressed and forgotten about. And therapists I worked with for over the years helped me bring some of it out. There was some still in there that haven't been touched because my latest therapist said, yeah, we don't need to open those cans of worms. We can leave those alone. So we did. And that's who I am today. And that's the reason I do this today, is because I want to help you. I want you to get healthy and heal and become the whole person that you can be, that God intended for you to be. Because that's the other stool in the stool is God. Spirituality. It doesn't have to be God. It can be spirituality. You don't have to believe in my God, the God of the Episcopal Church, because that's who I am. I'm an Episcopalian. But you don't have to believe in that, or the Catholic, or the Protestants, or the Baptist, or whoever. But I strongly encourage you to use spirituality of some kind. whether it's metaphysical type spirituality or good old fashioned Christian, it doesn't matter. Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, I don't care. As long as you are following the tenets of your particular brand of spirituality. And that's okay. Because it's important that you do that. You don't have to become an Episcopalian to get healthy. I became an Episcopalian long after I was healthy. Well, almost. I still didn't have God in my life. But once I did, I was okay. I'm okay today. Because of the work I've done in the past, of all of the work I've done in the past. And for you, it can start today. All you have to do is text me, send me a note, and we'll get you on the show. You can send me an email at t2l@coffee-time-again.com. Send me an email, and I will have an answer back to you within 24 hours. Give you some choices, some times and dates. The times will be the same. They're noon Pacific time. So giving you that and dates of when we got availability on the show. And right now we got lots of it. We don't have any. I have not booked anybody for a while, though I'm still looking for them. I want people who have survived trauma. We've had enough experts on here. They've talked about it. We've had several, including probably the best therapist known to mankind, Dr. Stephen Diggs, has been on this show. He was on my other show as well. So he's that good. He really is that good. So you need to believe in yourself, first of all. You have to believe that I can do this. You can do that on your own, which is very difficult. Very difficult. With some type of spiritual background, the belief is easier to have that spiritual help you, prop you up. If you have some friends, I'm sorry, I just had a pop up on my computer. So I make my apologies to you all for that. I know that spirituality part's important. You need it. Or, I just say, or, if you have some good, close, personal friends whom you trust implicitly, let them help them prop you up long enough for you till the miracle happens. They say in AA, fake it till you make it. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that. However, what I do believe is until you make it, to show up, be present here every week. You can sit in the audience and watch us. You can come on the show if you want to. We got room for 10 people out here if we need them. We've got plenty of room for plenty of people right here. We need you. This show needs you to continue because I want it to continue. And we need you and you need us. You need to get healthy. If you don't come to spirit trauma to love and get some help on your own, that's fine. That's no issue for me unless you want to. If you want to go to a private therapist or a social worker or a counselor, that's fine too. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Just get the help you need because you're destroying yourself and your families by not getting the help. Trauma can be very abusive in a manner of speaking, not physical or mental or anything like that, but it can abuse you. You can bring you down, put you into depression and other mental illnesses that is just not worth it. The depression, the anger, the rage, the shame, the guilt, all of that you don't need. And you don't have to have it. You don't need it. It can be taken from you in the healing process. But you've got to do the healing process, no matter where you do it. Me, I prefer you come here, because we're free. We're not charging you guys anything to be here. We just want you here and to get healed and to be alive, free from the demons that are holding you back from what your full potential is. And I have no idea what your full potential is. You don't either, I don't believe, until you get healthy. And I'm healthy than I was, and I still don't know my full potential. No, I don't know my full potential yet. So if you're willing and you're out there, send me a comment, and we will get you on the show for the last 30 minutes. I'm going to cut the show short today because Leslie hasn't shown up yet, and I don't know why. I haven't received any messages from her. I don't have it. My phone is off, so she can't text me or call me until I turn my phone back on. So I'm going to end the show at 30 minutes today. That normally goes for an hour. But I'm pretty much talk myself out of what I needed to say to you. I needed to read that ad to you. I think it's important that you listen to it, and decide you need help, or you want help, or maybe there's somebody in your family that needs help. You can bring them as well. Bring them along. Come yourself and bring them. Who knows what can happen then? You don't have to bring them dragging and kicking. Just say, I got this great show. You need to listen to it. Have them come on and listen to it before they come on the show. Because they can sit in the gallery and listen to the show and not have to worry about being on the show, which I think is a marvelous thing. So all of you, take care of yourselves. Love each other. Love your neighbor. Get healthy some way, somehow. Like I say, you don't have to do it my way, but you can be healthy. You can be healthy and loving and loving and loving. It's just up to you, and what do you want? Do you want the same old miserable life, or do you want a new life? A new life it's a new beginning. It's like almost being reborn, because it's a new beginning. Everything changes. Everything changes and nothing changes. Those are the rules. The rule is the only law that never changes is the law that says everything must change. So you got a choice. You can become healthy or not. And the choice is yours, and only you can make it. Say if you got some family members, bring them along. Maybe they'll get the hint too. Maybe they don't even know they're having trauma issues. Some people don't. They don't know that they're in trouble. They just know something's a bit off kilter, but they don't know what. They're living a life full of anger and mistrust, and broken marriages and broken relationships, all because of the anger they're holding in. And they don't even know they're holding in anger, let alone how to dissipate it. But it can be done very easily. So I was going to end this. So I guess I'd better end it. And thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. The show will be put up on the internet within a couple of days. As soon as I get to it, I got one ahead of you. I needed for my other program, which is called Coffee Time Again, which deals with history and politics. So if you want to know about politics and history in mine, you can join me over there on that show. That's about twice a month. I get one up. So take a look at that one if you wish. Meantime, go out and make it a good day, depending on the weather where you're at, if you can get out or not. I hear in California it's a bit damp in places. So, and then other places they got snowstorms. And don't go to Reno because they're in a mess. They're getting feet worth of snow, so don't go up to Reno. So anyway, I love you all. I trust you all, and I will expect you all, and I hope you all show up the next show and enjoy life. Thank you very much. This is Dale Hutchinson saying goodbye till later next week at 1 noon Pacific time.